Good morning. It's almost noon on Friday, April 20th, 2012. This will be a recording of which will be posted online. It is 11:55 a.m. This is Inta Mitterbach in Lakewood, Ohio, a suburb just west of Cleveland, Ohio, in the United States. And I have I went out early this morning, I guess about 7. Well, according to the file, the photo here in the background, it's a photograph of the sunrise sky to the east, and it was taken at I believe 7:19 a.m. and as was the picture of the lilacs there. Purple lilacs also shown in the corner. The interesting thing about this photo is that I saw a contrail in the sky, which is the steam trail in the sky that is left behind some of the planes. I think it depends on probably the velocity of the plane and probably the conditions of the atmosphere that the plane is going through as to whether or not it leaves a contrail. But it's interesting because it kind of looks like the contrail of a jet going down, and actually it was a jet going across the sky. But not knowing that, and not having seen it, if you'd see this photograph, someone could say, well, a jet went down. There's the contrail, and it didn't. It was going across the sky, but. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and sometimes photographs can be deceiving, and also photographs can be manipulated. I did a lot of work with Photoshop and graphics, and I've had a lot of fun with it. But I'm not necessarily an expert in graphics and what can and cannot be done, and being able to detect it, but. I do have some knowledge of it, and it can be used to deceive, of which that was not my intent with this photo, but it was just kind of like, that kind of looks like a jet going down, and it wasn't. It was going across the sky, so no alarm there. But it was a beautiful morning. It's a little cool. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's nice out. Maybe a little bit on the cool side, not quite warm. And I don't really have a whole lot to say today. I was thinking about my aunt, whose life ended tragically just a few moments ago, and I had that thought right before I got on the recording here. And with that thought in mind, it kind of killed my my motivation to talk about. I just kind of sent my brain on another track. What I had kind of thought about talking about maybe this morning was. Or today is my experience with the psychiatric system, and I don't know if it's true. And I think I've touched on this a little bit in the past, but I don't know if it's, what was I going to say? There's my flat line. My flat line just got delivered. So, what I was going to say is, in talking about the psychiatric system, it's not necessarily, I guess what I was going to say is, I don't know if it's true throughout the United States, or if it's just a local problem. I don't know if it's a county issue or a state issue or a national issue. But I have pretty much, as I've stated previously, been through the psychiatric tour of duty, which basically, I don't know. I met someone recently who also, I met someone in the psychiatric ward of a hospital, and there are some problems going on because I think the police have some authority that is. I don't think all of the laws are real well done with the psychiatric care system. I don't think with regard to police authority, I don't think that's done very well. And I don't think with regard to the doctor's authority, I don't know. My experience is that basically you're stripped of all of your rights once you go into the psychiatric system, and you are subjected to psychiatric evaluation, of which that's kind of, and I think I said this before. You have to prove your once stated. One suspected of mental illness, you must prove your mental sanity, and that's not how crime works. And the psychiatric system, I did take a little tour of the jail because I had the issue with the ticket a couple weeks ago, over the past couple months or so. But so I took a tour of the jail in Rocky River and sat there for a few hours to appreciate that. And it wasn't nice, but I'm sure going to jail and being processed through the psychiatric system in terms of crime, I think I've had the impression, that a lot of people want to plead insanity versus plead guilty with regard to crime. And after having had the experience I have in the psychiatric system and the various means they have to really hurt someone in a psychiatric system, in a psychiatric hospital, they're looking inside your head and evaluating you. And I would guess, even in a prison system, they're probably doing that as well, because I did meet someone online who was a psychologist for, I think, the state of Ohio prison. And I chatted with him a little bit, and online. At least that's who he said he was, but whoever they were, for all I know, it was a 14-year-old girl playing games. But the impression that I had been given, according to the information that was provided online, was that the individual that I was chatting with online was a man, a professional man, a doctor of psychology who worked for the state of Ohio prison in Columbus, Ohio. So, as far as what is and is not true, and chatting, I chatted with some people and had, that's probably not the smartest thing to do, but it was definitely a growth experience. And in terms of evaluating the chatting system, and evaluating AOL, and evaluating the internet, and evaluating what you can and cannot do, or maybe can and cannot get away with, or should not do, and things like that, I've done all of that, and I'm off on another tangent again. But back to the psychiatric system. I was going through a divorce back in 1996. In 1995, the end of 1995, I think around October, I started doing work. I was working at CAS Incorporated in Huntsville, Alabama, where I lived with my husband and children. Pretty happily. We had a cumulative 66 feet of boat, and 26 and I think a 40. So, we were pretty comfortable. We had a condominium. I think my husband had a couple trucks, and we had few cars, and we wined and dined quite nicely, and we were living very, very nicely. And I took some classes at the University of Alabama periodically, and I can turn that on and off. And hey, y'all. So I was we were all pretty happy. I started working for CAS back in 1993, conveniently right on my mom's birthday, of which I'll never forget that. And it was March 15th of 1993. And in 1995, I think it was October, I started working on providing some support. I was actually, my job was basically, I was the secretary to the vice president of marketing and business development, and I liked doing that. I really didn't want anything necessarily to do with the defense, and missiles and war and all of that stuff, defense stuff. But I did learn a lot. I had the opportunity to work with graphics and learn about graphics and put together briefings and brochures, and I learned about the military. I didn't know anything really about the military before I worked in Huntsville and had moved to Huntsville originally from Cleveland. And so anyway, I learned a lot, and I enjoyed being able to work with graphics and excuse me, and just that was great, coming up with artwork and new ideas and just making everything look great, and my focus was on presentation, and it was done for business development, most of the if not all of the stuff I was doing. So in terms of in terms of business development, basically my boss, he was meeting with people, and they were working on contracts and things, and upcoming contracts that they may have been trying to win, and pulling together teams and bidding on a request for proposals and things like that. And I like I said, I learned a lot. But in 1995, I started doing some support for the Aerostat project, and I think that started with my ideas for a logo design. I started working on the logo, kind of like a project logo for that contract and that project office, and I hadn't really ever worked directly for a customer, of which was the United States Army Aerostat project office, and so I started gradually doing that, and then I wound up in D.C. and I guess traveling to D.C., not moved to D.C., but traveling to D.C. to provide support for the work. I guess that I wound up with a new boss, and I wound up being transferred away from my boss to the project, and that I was really sad about that, because I really liked my job. But I thought of it as I thought it was like kind of, I don't know if it was necessarily a promotion, maybe a lateral move with the opportunity for more promotion than I had where I was. And so I tried really hard, and one of the conditions for employment at CAS was that you have a security clearance, and that's a whole nother issue there. But anyway, where do we go? So I'm working on the Aerostat project, and I wind up working myself into almost into a grave. I worked so hard and tried so hard to do a good job and put in 200%, and my husband, I don't know how the heck he did it. He used to he used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and come home at midnight. He was such a I don't know. He was absolutely amazing, and I tried to be like him and pull off I guess I admired him and his abilities so much. I started running and really pushing myself and working harder, more efficiently, and faster, and I crashed. But there were several things that happened simultaneously, and one of those things was my trying that much harder and working and complications that I wound up in with my boss, my new boss, and I also working with the for the Army. And not being really familiar with any of that, I encountered here's a secret, don't disclose this, and that sent my head spinning. And it gives you a lot to think about. And okay, now you've been entrusted with national security. What happens? Well, I considered it such a huge responsibility that I started trying to correct the whole planet to make sure that I didn't have any complications that might jeopardize national security, and make sure that all of the mistakes I had ever made were corrected, and make sure that my family was I guess I wanted to make sure that there was nothing that might be a threat to me or the responsibilities that I had been entrusted with. And anyway, I wind up in a divorce, and there's so much to it. It's complicated, and there's it's like what part of the story are you going to share at this moment in your life? Because I can tell a different story every time I tell the story, and and it's not a matter of deception. There's so much to it, and there were so many issues. It's just a matter of, okay, which issue do I recall, and which issue gets triggered next in terms of recall. So I'm going through a divorce. The divorce was difficult, and I had children. I wound up at odds with my husband at a time when I needed him the most, and so I was going through that, and and I crashed with all my effort and all of my. It really wasn't a paranoia, I think someone said that I was paranoid at one time, and paranoia is fear of fear of things that aren't real, or fear of. If you have real fear, if you really know what it is you need to worry about, I don't think that's paranoia. Paranoia is being afraid of is a fear. Well, I think I've said it in the past better than I'm saying right now, but I don't think I was being paranoid. I think I had some serious reasons to be concerned, and so anyway, I went through a bad divorce. And some drug issues entered the. Let's throw that out on the table and deal with that. And then there were depositions and naming names of people who had used drugs, and including myself, of which that's public information. And so, disclosure of drug users to the public for public record, and and I had an attorney, and I wasn't advised of any right to remain silent or refusal to disclose information and things like that. And I was just told you have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Swear on this Bible. And then I started wondering, I just after it seems like after everything that happened, my head just wasn't. And I think it's always been like this. I'm just not quick enough to catch things right when they happen, and it's almost like, Shark Pool City. So here it is swear on the Bible. Okay, now did they even give me a choice? Does everyone have to swear on a Bible in the United States? Then I started thinking about all the people in the United States and whether or not, we've got different religions. Does everyone in the United States with the United States judicial system have to swear on a Bible? Are you offered another book to swear on? And and do you have to swear swear to God for anything, or on any holy book for anything having to do with the judicial system? And then there's the "In God We Trust" thing on the money. And let me go off on some more tangents. What the heck else? Oh, and then the other thing, the other issue that just came up recently, and I know this just goes off in a million directions. But it's like I'm getting every problem on the planet thrown out onto a plate in front of me. So here I am in court trying to fight the ticket that I knew darn well I was correct, and I tried to stand up to the officer, but it's his word against my word, and they wouldn't present the evidence to the judge, and the judge made a decision without reviewing all the evidence, and I was found guilty, and I was innocent, and so then I was like, oh, there, you just killed another another federal agent, you know. Did you know I was, and this is not true, but just hypothetically speaking, did you know you just killed an undercover federal agent because you didn't even look at the evidence and you just locked them up, and no one even knows they're not, or I think there was a movie about Jane Fonda who was an undercover journalist and went into a prison system and I think it was a prison system maybe, because she was doing an undercover investigative report. And and I'm not an undercover investigative reporter or journalist or anything. I'm just Stephanie and Alex's mom and Tom's ex-wife. But and I do claim fame to Girl Scout troop leader of Northern Alabama Girl Scout troop number 265. I was I was a Girl Scout leader, and a few other things. But anyway, what was I saying? So I'm in this courtroom, and there's all of that, and that's a mess. And and what else? Oh, I was there long enough to hear the sentencing of someone else to AA meetings, of which I think it was a domestic violence issue, and I'm not sure what the details were. And that's a problem too that some people are dealing with. But the thing that bothered me about that is apparently there was some drinking issue in having to do with the domestic violence. So the judge, and I don't know if you're given choices, because I haven't been given any choices, and I haven't been smart enough or known the system well enough or known anything well enough to ask the right questions, I guess. If you don't already know this stuff, how do you know what to ask, It's kind of like asking a 5-year-old, well, which rights would you like to exhibit here, And so, and most 5-year-olds don't know all their rights yet. But, where was I? The man was sentenced to AA meetings, and which is Alcoholics Anonymous, as one of the conditions for whatever, and his release, and or his punishment, or whatever it's called. And so, excuse me. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been to a few meetings. And I don't consider myself to be an alcoholic or have a drinking or alcohol problem, but I did go because I've been around some problems, and I don't think I have a problem, but I think I've probably consumed more than a lot of people would think is appropriate on occasions, especially in my early adult years. But so this man gets AA meeting sentencing, and it's my understanding that AA meetings are kind of Christian-based, and it just kind of bothers me that in a court system of the United States judicial system, of which is based on religious freedom, that anyone would be sentenced to anything having to do with religion, unless they're okay with that and stuff. But I guess it bothered me that, and there's that church and state thing, isn't there? Like a separation of church and state. So why is the court sentencing anyone to anything that is religious based? And, unless maybe that's something specific. I don't know. And I don't know what all the details of that case are, but I kind of wondered about that. And, there are a lot of atheists in the country, so I was kind of wondering, well, I don't know if there are a lot, but there are atheists in the United States, and I was wondering how they feel about money that says "In God We Trust," and whether or not they boycott use of the American dollar or something because it has "In God We Trust" stamped on it. And, I don't know, maybe atheists have to use a barter system or something. But maybe they don't want to barter anything that had anything to do with any dollars that it's an extremist's view. So, anyway, nth degree. But back to the psychiatric system, going through a divorce and winding up, I crashed, and when I crashed, going through the divorce and background investigations and what I thought was work for the Department of Defense, serious major responsibilities and things. So my head kind of, for whatever reason, I don't know what happened to me, but I was having a difficult time. I thought I had a heart attack. I had a strike right in my chest, and I was 32 years old at the time, and I couldn't breathe. And from that point on, I had it was very my head was very unclear, and I had a difficult time adding 2 plus 2. I mean, that's how I describe it, but that's maybe a slight exaggeration, but I was trying to help my mom hang wallpaper, and she was doing the calculations for the measurements, just something simple like the measurements, and I couldn't help her with the measurements, and I was the math genius of the family, so it was, going from everything is there's nothing difficult for me. There's absolutely nothing that I can't do, and I've never encountered anything that was difficult. To everything is almost impossible, and so that was a challenge, and I just kept trying to do math problems and kept trying to read. I wound up going through the math series. I think I've mentioned that a couple times, and did get through calculus, and reached the monkey phase where you realize you really don't know. Oh, there's Comet, my dog Comet. She wants you to know she's here. She's got a little itch, I guess. So anyway, one of the things, and I don't know if this helps anyone, but if you have like concentration issues, well, everyone does what they have to, or figures it out themselves. But I was reading out loud to try to get I was trying to go to school and get the material to sink into my head, and apparently, like cancer patients, because of the chemotherapy and things they've been through for their cancer treatments, they have sometimes problems. It can be brain damaging. So anyway, I think my brain is I think it's okay, but at this point, and maybe I have some limitations that I had not had previously, but I don't know what happened. Maybe I might have been an engineer had I not had whatever happened to me back in 1996 happen, whatever that was. But I don't think I can do it now. Maybe I'll try it again someday. But the psychiatric system I went into because my head was unclear, I guess. I don't know exactly what happened, but my parents, as I said, I was 32 years old. My parents took me to a hospital to get psychiatric care, and I was having panic attacks, and I had an extremely high level of anxiety, and I can remember the doctor. I don't know if he asked me something wanted to know something or asked me some sort of question. I couldn't think, and he just said try, and I was like, that just kind of echoes in my brain, because it's like, when your head is totally messed up and someone tells you, just try to think. So, anyway, that was in Berea, Ohio, on I think it was Berea Hospital. That place was okay. It was probably the least damaging. I wound up, like I said, taking a tour over the past 16 years. Went into Lakewood Hospital, North Coast Behavioral Medical Health Care Center. I guess it's North Coast Behavioral Health Care Center. I went to the free clinic trying to get help. I went to the Lutheran Hospital. I went to, and I'm not sure, but what was happening, but I got the impression that wherever I was going, someone was putting narcotics or something in my food and beverages, and so I don't know if I got to the hospital because I was sick and they thought I was a drug user, so they thought they'd teach me a lesson, or what happened, but I really got beat up pretty badly, and they put me on medications, antipsychotic medications, of which I did not need because I was not psychotic, and have 6, 8, 10, 12 years of antipsychotic pharmaceutical products that you don't need. That's not very nice. And at North Coast here, they didn't have any hot water in the showers, and I was there for a month in the winter time, and so the water was literally so cold that it felt like a knife stabbing me in the top of my head, and so I learned to take cold showers, and then at some point in the future, when I was unemployed, I had just graduated from school and I was looking for a job, and I thought, well, I'll turn off the I don't need gas utility. I can deal without that. It cut that expense back. It's summertime, and I've had cold shower training. I can turn off the gas and take cold showers and save that money, and then I got locked up because I guess my family considered that because I had not paid my bills, that would be an indication of because I didn't have any hot water, that's an indication of mental illness and not being able to take care of yourself. And, I guess I was trying to figure out ways to cut corners so as not to overextend my obligations or responsibilities in relation to my resources, of which were limited. I wound up on disability, Social Security disability. At one point, I think I went to North Coast 2 or 3 times, and I wound up on disability, and it just goes on and on and on. I thought you had the right to refuse medication, but medications were forced upon me. Shots were forced upon me. One nurse, I guess it was a nurse, gave me a shot, I think it was last October at the Lutheran Hospital, and hit my bones so hard with the needle. I've never felt excruciating pain like that before. I've had some excruciating pain, but not like that. And, there's my appreciate a wild animal being shot with a tranquilizer gun experience. So I've had that, and I don't think they do the shoot those tranquilizer guns gently into the animals, and so I had that experience. And what else? I've had a lot of bad experiences in the psychiatric system. People getting hurt. They don't really provide help. I don't know that anyone was at Berea. They actually did provide help. They had classes, and they had a team of professionals that really did try to provide as much assistance, I guess, as possible. But throughout the Cleveland and Lakewood area, they just really when I was at Lakewood Hospital, which is now part of the Cleveland Clinic, on one occasion, they gave me what was referred to as, I think it was, what's it called, occupational therapy. And it was, what is occupational therapy? I'm stringing beads. And they charged me, I charged Medicare or whatever, $35,000, I think. I'm not positive about that, but I think maybe I don't remember. Maybe the whole hospital bill was $35,000 for the month or something. But occupational therapy, a major expense. And whose occupation? I was trying to be Einstein. So, at the time, maybe. I was trying to do a lot of things. I was trying to climb the ivory towers. I I know it sounds crazy, but I was trying to consider what it takes to be president of the United States, and what it takes to be a leader, and and on and on and on. Just to have what does it take to get to the top, kind of thing, and which top are you going to try to get to, and so stringing beads. There's my occupational therapy, and I was like, well, how is this going to help me? I'm trying to. At the time I think I wanted to be an engineer at NASA, whose occupation is bead stringing therapy. Okay, well, it depends on the individuals and what their problems are, and their abilities, and what they're dealing with and things, what their capabilities are. Everyone is different, but and I don't want to sound, I guess I just sounded absolutely awful just saying that, but and I feel like the peanut gallery is screaming at me again, but I guess in terms of all the psychiatric care, I guess I just lost my thought there. I just got distracted, but with regard to the psychiatric care, the doctors. And they have a process where, if you don't know how to get through that system, they don't do anything. They didn't do anything to help me get through it or get out of it. And once you're in, I've got posted on the internet that says that I'm mentally ill, and that, probate hearing. I wasn't even informed of the probate hearing. I had a hearing in the hospital. The doctor said I wasn't even capable of feeding myself. The other doctor said I was sick because I raised my voice. I had gone through a divorce, and I was trying to stand up to my husband and put my foot down, stomp my fist and things like that. And I got knocked down and locked up in the psychiatric ward for 16 years, lost my children, everything I had. I was never going to be able to stand up and take care of myself, of which if you can't stand up and take care of yourself because you're getting beat, I got beat up by the police. And, not literally beat up, but kinda. And so... with all of that, with everything that happened to me, no, I was never going to get my children. And you can't, if the whole world is really harassing and assaulting an individual, they aren't going to be able to do too much. And so I guess, I've kind of hibernated in my home, and I've done some online school kind of stuff, anyway, the psychiatric system, it's a mess. It's absolutely awful. I don't think people even have any idea what exists in the psychiatric system. I think, in terms of geography, what is the philosophy? What are the psychiatric, what kind of... There are 197 countries and territories around the world, so the psychiatrists and psychologists, the foreign doctors coming into the United States, is their medical system the same? Are there psychiatric? I'm sure they have scientists all over the world in every country throughout the world, so, what are their philosophies? What is their, I don't know. What do they believe? What type of care do they, everyone's probably at least a little bit different and doing things differently. So, and then there's the issue of that's brought into the United States, and you have foreign doctors, and, how do they do things, and what do they think is right, and are you subjected to their cultural tendencies or beliefs or values? And I had one doctor that, as I said, I was trying to raise my voice and stand up and learn to assert myself, and the doctor said I was sick and because I raised my voice. It was a loud room. It was full of people talking. I felt as though I was being I was locked up against my will. I've been locked up for every holiday, all the holidays. My family's absolutely destroyed. And, all of our special days are gone and destroyed. I think I got locked up for every one of them. Oh, and then I had a teenage pregnancy, so of course that's an indication that you're mentally ill. That's not normal. You don't comply to normal society standards, and what is normal and what is abnormal. I mean, I think it's the police said I was not in compliance. Compliance with what? Compliance with what? Your value system? I mean, I hadn't done anything illegal, specifically, not recently anyway, not that I haven't ever done anything that wasn't illegal, but which isn't necessarily funny, but the value, what? Not in compliance. Okay, so you've got a value system, and you've got what's considered normal. Well, the doctors might think, well, it's not considered to be a normal display of behavior to get pregnant when you're a teenager. That's not normal. It's an indication. These types of. I think one doctor said that increased. One young doctor said that increased. What's a nice. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. So, with the behavior, I don't know, mental illness. If you cry because something's sad, that doesn't mean you're depressed. It's normal to cry if you're sad. That's not an indication of depression. But what the heck is depression? And they're the experts. But to impose psychiatric analysis and psychiatric diagnostics upon me, of which I think they are not even qualified to. I don't know what did they subject me to, and why? I do feel like I've been used as a guinea pig, and I feel as though I've been hurt tremendously and terribly and horribly, and everyone is gone, and who wants any? And then there's this stigma thing. Okay, well, I don't care. I mean. But I do care. Don't call me it's one thing. For a while, I actually did believe that I had a psychiatric or psychological or mental illness, and I don't think I think I was injured. I don't think I was ill. I think I was injured. I think I suffered a cardio something and had some sort of malfunction, injury to the head as a result of my cardio issue, and then I was subjected to psychiatric, and maybe that's comparable to the diabetics being subjected to psychiatric care, because sometimes diabetic patients they may appear to be intoxicated because they're having a diabetic. I don't know what it's called, but not a reaction, but not an imbalance. I don't know enough about medicine, but I don't know, but I have heard that diabetic patients, or not patients, but people with diabetes sometimes are mistakenly thought to be intoxicated, and so. Anyway, I think I had a cardio issue, and I think I had a good reason to have a cardio issue, some panic attacks. But as I said, they treated me for psychosis. They're saying I'm psychotic. They said I was schizophrenic, bipolar, depressed, delusional. People have said I was speeding and spiraling. Well, the individual that said I was speeding kept, hammering me because I was speeding. My brain is going too fast. I'm just working too fast. Right? You're speeding. So what's wrong with that? I enjoy working fast. I'm efficient. I'm speeding now. I'm too fast. Why? Are you too slow? I was back in the era of the space race of the United States and the Soviet Union racing to the moon, and And I was back in second grade. I was an 8-year-old taking math races. We had to do 100 problems in 5 minutes, and in third grade we had to do 100 problems in 3 minutes, and we had to get 100 on those tests. So I was trained to do things very quickly, and so now that's a problem. You're speeding. Slow down. You're speeding. You're spiraling. I mean, that's enough. Get off of me. Anyway, the psychiatric system is a mess. If anyone ever needs any comments on the psychiatric system or information about the psychiatric system with regard to experiences, the last, what was it, in October when I went into, they finally released me. I went in recently, got assaulted by the police, had a little run-in with the neighbor, and that's been a problem too. And in that case, it was my neighbor was instigating things with my daughter. I don't know what the problem is with the neighbor, but I've got like a mean neighbor, and so I got hauled away for, I don't know what anyway, and that whole system's a mess too. But and what was I saying? No, I just got distracted again by a car out in front of the house. With regard to the psychiatric system, if anyone needs any comments about it, I know what I was saying. I went into the the Lutheran Hospital back in October, and it was one of the first things I did was clean my room. Take the towels and the washcloths and everything. And it did actually have its own private little toilet bathroom, which was kind of a nice change to have your very own private little toilet, so that because at Lakewood Hospital the men would actually, the patients, of which were men, it's co-ed, the patients would walk into the bathroom while you were using the bathroom, and of which women have women's issues, and that's not real nice, and so there's a privacy, and then if you've had issues which are in my case, I felt as though I had been subjected to some harassment issues, and I guess kind of what would be considered sexual harassment issues. So then I was really battered by the psychiatric system with what seemed like I got battered with sexual harassment, and it was almost as if, you have a problem with being mean? Oh, well, we'll all be mean to you and you'll get over it. Oh, you have a problem with sexual harassment? Well, we'll all sexually harass you and you'll get over it. You have a problem with I think you get you understand what I'm saying. And so that's basically how they treated me. I had some issues that it's like I had some painful memories. So basically, and I didn't want to. I left them all behind. I went off and had a happy, nice, wonderful, beautiful life, and went off to fairy tale land and had the dream life with my husband and my kids and stuff, and wound up back here in Cleveland, and got absolutely beat up by the psychiatric system and the police and the judicial system and everything. And they had a hearing, a mental illness hearing. They didn't notify me. I found it online, and it just goes on and on and on. And I think they've pretty much committed every abuse upon me that they. No, I'm sure there's a lot more they could do to me, but I've had 16 years of assault, and so anyway, it's not nice. And as a result, I kind of felt like with what happened, I was never going to get my kids, and I didn't have any money, and I was working 5 jobs just to pay my bills. And, maybe I made a cumulative $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 a year working as many as 5 jobs at a time. And that I had enough to pay my bills. I didn't ever make enough to really take care of my kids. And so, if you can't take care of your, one of the responsibilities of children is being able to provide for them and feed them, and so take care of medical bills and things like that. And I guess I'm not an expert in poverty, so I didn't know how to take advantage of all of the resources available to individuals that have poverty issues. I will mention one thing, and I'm about done here. The thing that I learned about was 211, which is basically a national emergency number for social services and social services throughout the United States. It's not available everywhere, and they do have local numbers if you look up 211 on the internet, but you can dial 211 or 1211 from, it's my understanding, throughout the United States to get services for things like shelter, food, emergency, maybe whatever your problem might be with regard to limited resources. If you're looking for AA meetings or maybe food banks or different resources, support groups. Anyway, I was a complete novice with regard to trying to use the judicial system and the legal court system and going through legal battles and trying to get custody of your kids and trying to survive in the psychiatric system and trying to correct mistakes that you may have made in the past. I guess I was trying to correct all my mistakes, and maybe that's all I managed to do was try to figure out how to correct the mistakes that I've made, and I guess I managed to get an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's, and I'm now working on a PhD, of which, okay, all right, well, I didn't really get what I wanted, and but I guess I just keep going on, and I guess my advice to my kids has always been, even as difficult as it gets, don't think about necessarily the difficulty. Just keep moving forward. Just keep doing everything you can to move forward. And as long as you keep doing things, positive things, and moving forward, and not getting drowned and concentrating or thinking about all of the the problems, but as you're trying to get through things anyway. And this is, I guess this little brain spill right now is just a reflection of some of the things that I have experienced over the past 16 years living here in Cleveland and Lakewood, Ohio, and the losses that I've had. And I don't know why I had to have all those losses. It kind of seems like I got processed through the divine retribution system in which I made some decisions and choices in my past to so I feel as though the bad choices or decisions that I made in the past came back to haunt me, and basically I got my nose shoved in an overload of that same type of behavior. Not behavior, but choices, and it's kind of like I got saturated with myself. For example, and I like I said, I'm going to cut this off here real quick, but for example, you didn't do well in math. Well, guess what? Your team, none of them did well in math. So now live with that. Those are your peers. None of you did well in math. There's your team, and how are you going to help each other? So, versus, you did well in math, and you did well in English, and you did well in, you've got 4 team members, and each one did really well in 4 different subject areas, and instead of that, here's your team, all 4 of you did really lousy in math, now, now survive. So, that's kind of a simplistic view of what happened, but basically I got submerged in myself, of which well, that's maybe even too simplistic, but anyway, that's a bit of the story, and that it's a sunny day. It's what time is it right now? It's 12:48, and I guess I've spoken now for about 40, how long? Oh gosh, this is already 53 minutes long. So it's sunny, it's a nice beautiful day, and I still need to get a job, and I'm going out to to keep picking those weeds, my municipal directive is, I guess the neighbors, I'm not sure who's responsible. They're making anonymous reports to the police about me, all kinds of complaints, and that's keeping me real busy. So instead of, school or work and the things that I need to do, like, fight a custody battle for my kids or become a brilliant scientist or something like that, I'm preoccupied with the community games of batter me with anonymous complaints, and so I've got that, and as far as being battered by the community or whomever is responsible, I am reminded of things like when I wanted to be a photographer back in elementary school, all my cameras got stolen out of my locker, and when I was going to be a veterinarian in high school, I was had a great biology notebook with excellent cell diagrams and dissection diagrams and things like that, and someone needed to borrow my notebook, and I was, I guess, dumb and nice and said sure, and it was right before finals, and so now and then they didn't return my notebook, and nobody knows what happened to it. Maybe I would have become a veterinarian. Maybe I would have gone on and cured cancer. Who knows? But those dumb little pranks, of which I did one myself back when I was 17 or 18 years old. Snagged a package out of I think my neighbor's mailbox. I was living in a double. And I'm still looking for them, the Gray family out there, because I have I have an apology for them, and I'd like to talk to them. And I would hate to think of all the complications that I may have caused them and trauma if they were being subjected to a community of pranksters, as I have been, or seemingly so. So I did want to sit down with them and apologize, and I've made some other mistakes, and I've tried to write letters and apologize and send checks in the mail and things like that to try to make up for my mistakes, and I really haven't gotten a whole lot of acknowledgments. I've tried to recall all of my mistakes and tried to confront my victims, with letters of apology and compensation for those errors in judgment. But anyway, I'm still looking for the Gray family, my neighbor's the Gray family, and anyway, I'm that's it for now. It's 12:51 p.m. and the Grays lived on West 110th Street in Cleveland, Ohio, and I don't know if I should provide specifically the address, but I was their upstairs neighbor. They lived downstairs in a double home, so if anyone happens to know where they are, what happened to them, or any means of contacting me, please do so. I've I don't know. I guess I can be contacted somehow. Someone can figure out. But I am in Lakewood, Ohio, and I think the Lakewood police know where I am. They know where I am pretty well. They know who I am, and I don't know if they were using me. Sometimes I kind of feel like, is this a demonstration? I considered being director of Amnesty International, so is this the POW rescue? And that's not funny either, but geez, no one's going to rescue me. I've got to rescue myself. Thank God Amnesty International is out there working to help people, because there are worse prisons than my home in Lakewood, Ohio. And I'm not under arrest, according to prison sentence or anything. That I guess, what is it, home jail? I'm not in home jail. I'm free to go, but I do think it would have been more merciful if this was a teach me a lesson, because I had smoked pot and lied about it on my security clearance background investigation. I think it would have been much more merciful to have processed me legally through the legal system instead of illegally through the psychiatric system. And if that's what they're doing to people, that's not okay. And I think the psychiatric system and the law and the police and everything can be used very cleverly by people who are going through divorces to, can be manipulated to get what they want. And I wasn't aware of that. But anyway, it's 12:53 p.m. now, and it is Friday, April 20th, 2012. And this is Inta Mitterbach of Lakewood, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, just west of Cleveland, Ohio, in the United States. And I'm calling this Northern Border Broadcast Productions. It's my little fictional. I come up with a million ideas a day. That was one of them. Use it if it works for you and you can use it, then great. I hope it benefits you also in some way. Thank you and have a great day. I'm back again, and it'll just. I have one other thing to say. I've gone through. I think I mentioned I did see some police brutality in Cleveland, which and I didn't know that women were brutalized by the police. Also, I thought it was a men's issue. It's also a women's issue, and I've been hurt by the police. And the last time the police carried me away because I guess a neighbor or someone made an anonymous, God, I can't talk, an anonymous complaint about me, at least it was not disclosed to me who that individual or those individuals were that made the complaint. I was handcuffed and carried away to the for another psychiatric evaluation, and the police officers, I know they're violating my rights, but what do? Okay, you won the argument with one police officer, so they bring in a second one. Now win the argument against two police officers. Well, now they brought in a third police officer. Now win the argument against three police officers, and when they're wrong and they're not smart, how are you supposed to win an argument against police officers of which are loaded with, they put the handcuffs on me and they were hurting me. And I told them they were hurting me. And I said, I don't remember exactly what was said, but I did let them know. I did let the police officer know that he was hurting me. And I said, I think I asked him to please stop hurting me or please take the handcuffs off. And he said no. And that's all I have to say. Just one last thing, because I had a lot of dreams. I had the American dream. I had the dream to rise to the top. I had the dream of the ivory towers. I had the dream of, gosh, I even thought about what it takes to be director of NASA. And as I said, what does it take to be president of the United States? What does it take to rise to the top? When you get bombed with issues, when they dump every issue and every piece of dirt on the planet on top of you, if you're not prepared for that and that's not what you had planned to do, you're never going to be able to do what you want to do. I had a few directions that I tried to pursue, and when you get bombed with a heap of dirt, and when you get bombed with a heap of issues, your issues, everyone else's issues, you're never going to be able to do what it is that you want to do. I think one of the nice things about going down to Huntsville, Alabama, and moving away from Cleveland and getting out of here was that I left all my distractions behind, and I had a chance to go off and do something. I became involved in the community. I went to church with my family. Not that was something that I really that wasn't one of the things that I had a major interest in doing, but I did do that a couple times. I was a Girl Scout leader, went to school. I worked at my daughter's elementary school. I was a volunteer mom. I graded papers, and I did the book order stuff on, I don't know if that was a weekly or a monthly basis, the little book orders for the kids in elementary school. I did all of those things. What else did I do? Girl Scouts. So anyway, it was nice to get out of here, go away, and go off and start all over and have a wonderful life. And I appreciate being able to do that. And I'm sorry that I came back here and had to relive all my nightmares, because I'll never be able to do what I wanted to with my life and have what I wanted, and I'll never be able to recover my losses after having returned to Cleveland and vicinity. I guess the one thing is I got to work at NASA for a year as a volunteer and as an employee to a subcontractor. So I guess the only value that I have at this point is that I've been hurt so many times that I can pass it along and provide you with some stories that of which the nightmares and the experiences that I've had may be beneficial to you, so that they don't happen to you. Unfortunately, that's my story, and I guess that's it for now. Right now it's 1:15 p.m. and that was a little quick edition. So if I don't know what to do. I don't want to get run out of my home, of which I feel I am being run out of my home. I feel as though I'm being run out of Lakewood. I feel Lakewood hasn't been real nice to me, and Cleveland is not the same as it was when I left Cleveland back in 1986, and came back in 96, and it was kind of like, what happened to my city? That story, or that song rather, is it by the Pretenders? I came back to Ohio and my city was gone. I've played that a few times, and it kind of feels like a reality for me. And so anyway, that's it. Thank you.